Story time on the time that I caught pneumonia. And I literally thought I was gonna die. Literally, I was coughing for like 2.5, 3 weeks, and I didn't know why I was coughing. I didn't know like what the hell even happened. And I noticed that the weather had been changing from like really warm to really cold and stuff. Like the weather was really back and forth, but I didn't really pay attention to it like that. I didn't link it to me coughing and stuff. But I was coughing for like 2.5, 3 weeks, and I cannot figure out why. And I live in an older house. And the house I live in was built in 1889. So it's a pretty old house. It's like 135 years old. You gotta do the math. I don't know. I'm not very good with math. But the house I stay in is very old. And I thought I was breathing in like some dust or some mold or something. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And I cannot stop coughing. And then one day I woke up in the middle of the night and I was coughing so fucking hard. I was coughing for like an hour straight, bro. I literally could not stop coughing. And I literally had to open my front door to get some fresh air from outside. And I still could not stop coughing. And I was having a really hard time sleeping too. And so I thought, okay, if I go get a hotel where I'm not staying at this house, because I really thought I was breathing in something at my house. So I was like, okay, if I go get a hotel and sleep somewhere where it's cleaner, newer, fresher air, that I might be able to sleep a little better and feel a little better. But no, it didn't. I literally checked in the hotel at 3, and then got me something to eat and took a nap. I took like an hour nap and I woke back up and I was really having a hard time breathing. And I'm like, I'm about to go to the ER because I can't keep dealing with this. This had been going on for like 2.5, 3 weeks. So I go to the ER, and when I get there, well, I took a lift there because I didn't want to take an ambulance because that would have made me really freak out and really have trouble breathing. So I took a lift there, and the lift guy, he got me there pretty fast, and he took me to the hospital. When I got there, I was telling them I was having breathing troubles and stuff, and they did an x-ray, they did an MRI, they did an ultrasound, they did a CAT scan, they did an EKG or something, a ECG or something like that. They just did all the tests that they do when they're looking at you, checking you out, making sure you're okay. Of course, I was not okay. They told me I had a lot of congestion and fluid on my lungs. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck could that be from? And they ran some blood tests and stuff, and they found out that I had pneumonia, and they started treating me for pneumonia. So they gave me all these antibiotics for pneumonia. But when they're looking at my test on my EKG, that's like a heart test. They did x-ray and stuff, all the ones that I mentioned just a few moments ago. But they were noticing like my heart was like beating weird or like looking kind of weird. And so they did like another heart test. And then they're looking at my kidneys as well. And they're like really examining it, had me do a urine test, and they told me I have a condition called amyloidosis. It's basically a protein in your heart that like destroys your heart, and it destroys your kidneys too. But I had high blood pressure as well, so that alone was destroying my heart and kidneys too. It's just so crazy how one little thing can really destroy your physical body. And like, they noticed my blood pressure was really high because I wasn't on any blood pressure medication either. And they're saying that I might have the beginning stages of kidney failure and heart failure at the same time. And that shit is scary when you hear that from a doctor. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to re-examine your kidneys and heart again. The kidney numbers are kind of high right now, so we're just going to keep here and monitor you for a little bit. And when you hear heart failure, you think like that's something that someone gets at like 70, 80, but literally 28 years old with beginning stages of heart failure, like that's just kind of crazy. So I'm just like, what the fuck? There's no way that you're telling me that I have heart failure at 28 years old. But yeah, so I was in the hospital for like 8 days. They kept doing all these tests on me. They put me on a kidney diet. That's another thing. A kidney diet is where you can't have no sodium. You can't have any salt, nothing. You can't have nothing good. Like, that literally was just eating vegetables the whole entire time. And I couldn't even have certain sauces because certain sauces have salt and sodium in it too. And my heart was breaking in the hospital. I'm just like, I can't have any ranch like that. I can't have anything that I want. Like, it was so bad. It wasn't bad. It was obviously a good thing, but I wanted some ranch or something. I couldn't even have certain sauces. I couldn't even have salt. Like, I had pepper, but I couldn't have salt. They gave me this stuff that was like, it was seasoning, but it didn't have any salt in it, but it tastes like salt. So, like, it was like organic table blend or something like that. Yeah, then while I was in the hospital, my oxygen would be dropping while I was asleep. So, like, it was getting harder for me to breathe while I was asleep, but I was unaware of it because I was asleep. I mean, when you're asleep, you don't know anything. You can't know what's going on with your body. And I would literally try to take a nap, and they would come in and wake me up and be like, "Oh, you gotta use this oxygen to put it up your nose because your oxygen dropping." And that shit was really fucking scary. Like, my oxygen dropping while I'm asleep. Like, it's one thing for it to drop while you're awake, but you sleep, you have no idea what's going on while you're asleep. And that's fucking crazy. Yeah, so I was there for a week, like I just said. When I got out of the hospital, my uncle gave me a ride home, and this is the uncle that actually gave me his older car that he was getting rid of because he got a new one. And he literally signed the title over to me as he would drop me off at home. And once I got the title, I literally get out the car to go inside my apartment, and the locks on my apartment door changed. So I called the maintenance man. The maintenance man's not answering. I called the emergency landlord number. She's not answering. Nobody's answering. So I had to literally call a Lyft and go get a hotel. And I had to get a hotel that night because I could not get in my apartment right after getting out of the hospital. I had to pay $128. Not that matter, but thankfully I'm glad I had it. Or else I would have been outside, or I would have had to call my uncle back to come all the way back to come get me. And he lived on the south side, which was like 15-20 minutes. He would have had to turn around and come all the way back to get me. And I would have had to stay with him. But just getting out of the hospital with pneumonia, I didn't want to stay with nobody. I only wanted to be by myself, heal myself, get off the medications and stuff. But yeah, that shit was crazy. Like, I literally thought I was gonna die. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with me? Like, when I tell you I literally could not stop coughing. And then being a diabetic, getting like a disease like that, or an infection like that, or COVID, or anything else, it can really fuck you up because having an underlying disease can really fuck shit up for you. Yeah, that shit really was fucking crazy. But yeah, that was a time that I caught pneumonia and I almost died. I'm very grateful to be alive. I'm very grateful for life now, and I pray that none of that happens to anybody except for my worst enemy. Yeah, that shit was crazy. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.